right, so these are the 3 best turnout exercises if you want to improve what you have for your turnout. So now, if you want to make this a little bit more challenging, you are definitely welcome to use these little bands. They either come together as like one big little circle, or you can have the bands that are like one long piece. Now I'm going to show you how to use both of those, so just in case you don't have the other or you only have one. But if you have both, that's great too. But even if you don't have a band, you can still do these exercises. So first off, we have to now find our turnout. How do we find our turnout? Well, we have to look for it. Nope. Nope. Oh, right here. It's your glutes. We found them. All right, let's get going. So I'm just gonna show without the band, but I did show with the band. So here we are again. I'm gonna sit up really tall. She's just managing, making sure that I'm doing, she's supervising me. She's rough, she's harsh. Tummy in, really tall. I'm gonna start with my flex feet and I'm squeezing my glutes, really isolating and thinking about that. And then I'm gonna bring them back in. Again, isolate and really squeeze. I was just doing about 15. So we have our 3 and a 4. Now you don't want to do these too fast. It's about control. This is 6 and a 7 and 8. Really squeeze. And 9 and a 10. Really tall. 11 and a 12. 13, 14, and a 15. Good. Relax. You can shake it out if you need to. Again, my quads are a little bit tight, so I probably won't be doing these exercises too aggressively. We're going to do it in pointed position as well. I'm not going to engage as much, but you definitely should. So again, we have our 15. We have our 1 and 2, 2 and a 3. Squeeze on 4, again, slowly. 5, so I'm not rushing through them like this. 6, really tall. And 7, core, and 8. Squeeze 9. I'm dropping those baby toes down to the floor. 11, and 12, 13, 14, and a 15. Excellent. Hi. Okay, so now you can actually do these exercises while you're laying on your back, and this is effective as well. So all you would do is you're gonna do the same thing, but you'll be laying on your back. So up like this, and again, I have my legs together. This is like 90-degree position here. So again, I'm doing my job. I'm doing it, I promise. So I'm gonna flex, and we squeeze, and 2, and a 3, 4, and a 5, and squeeze, and 6. This is 7. I'm still using my core. 8, and a 9, and 10. Good, really nice and slow. And a 12, 13, 14, and a 15. Now you again can do this in a pointed position. Really make sure that this is a 90-degree and you're engaging your core. Okay, you don't want your back arching off of the floor. And if you notice that you are actually arching off the floor, you can always put your hands a little bit right underneath the bottom part of your bottom here, and that'll help kind of round it. Not that you really want to round too much, but it'll kind of tip your pelvis so that your back is touching that floor. But again, really important that you guys are using your core. All right, moving on. All right, effective number 2 exercise. You've probably seen these before, and if you have not, well, welcome. We are on our side. Now you can always sit, prop yourself up like this, or you can go ahead and take a nap. No, I'm just kidding. Or you can relax down like this. It is up to you. But I am at a almost a right angle here. So notice how my hips, I'm not all in one line with my legs. I'm gonna bring my legs forward, and it's almost about a 90-degree angle here. And then what I'm gonna do again is engage my core, and I'm gonna put my hand on my hip so I can kind of make sure that I'm not gonna roll backwards with these exercises. That's not effective. We're trying to isolate that glute muscle. So if I start rolling backwards, now it's not as effective, okay? So here we are, and I will show with the band and then without the band. So the first one is without the band. You can place your hand right here if you like. I like it here because then I can tell like what's happening. I can see this triangle that my arm is making. So I notice that it's not becoming smaller, but it's up to you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna point my feet, engage my core, and I'm going to really think about isolating my glute. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly bring my legs into this diamond position, okay? Woo! And then release, and a squeeze. What you want to do is make sure not to just come back to starting point and relax. We want to really load up that glute. So we're going to just almost come to this touching position of my knees, but not quite. So we're going to keep it really loaded so we feel this turnout. So we go, and a 1, release. Again, it's slow, release. I would do about 15 reps, about 3 times. And 4, release. And a 5. Release, and 6, really thinking about my glute. 7, release, watch, so my triangle doesn't get smaller. I'm not rolling back like this. This is 9, and a 10, really keeping those toes together, and a 12, I can feel it. 13, and a 14, and a 15. Excellent. Now I'm going to show on the other side because I don't want to be lopsided. But again, make sure you do both sides. Now, if you're starting off and you're like, whew, that was a little bit too much for me, then only do 1 set. You don't have to do 3 sets, okay? And so you just want to start off small. Don't go, woo, get crazy and like do like 50 sets of this because you're not going to be able to walk tomorrow, okay? So let's do the other side. All right, so I'm using my lighter band because. So we're just gonna do the same thing, except on the other side. Again, I'm gluing my toes together, I'm pulling my core in, I'm really thinking about isolating that glute, and it's exactly the same thing, okay? Now again, we don't wanna like rush through these, not like this, okay? We need to try to get to the furthest point that we can with our knees apart, without the rolling backwards as well. So again, it's about quality and not the quantity of how many you're gonna do, right? So if we do like 10 really nice ones versus 50 really garbage ones, you know, that's not as effective, okay? So again, all you're gonna do is just that squeezing, really thinking about isolating that glute. We're on 2, and a 3, and go 4, squeeze on 5. Again, I'm not fully closing. 6, isolating, 7, and a 8, squeeze on 9, and a 10. Good, 5 more, we have 5. Hello, and a 4, and a 3, and a 2. Okay, 1. Yes. Now you can do the same thing again with the other band, right? So, undo that knot. And it's exactly the same thing. Now, the fun thing about this loose band is if you only have one color, let's say you have one that's very light, you can actually tie it as tight as possible, and then it'll be a little bit more like a medium. But since this is a medium to begin with, and I'm not trying to be all crazy, I'm just gonna go ahead and make a small, not super small, but kind of a loose circle with my band here. There we go. So it's the same thing. Excuse me. Thank you. I'm not going to show a ton of them because you don't need to see it. So notice how, again, it does pretty much the same thing. Oops, okay, I didn't tie it tight enough, but you guys get the idea. Again, about 15 of those, and then we will move on to the next exercise. Again, remember, quality over quantity. We don't want to do like a bunch of garbage stuff. Doesn't really count. So if you're actually having a little bit of trouble finding your turnout muscles, which sometimes happens, right? You know, you're like, oh, I'm not really quite sure if I'm engaging them, or I think I'm feeling them, but I'm not really quite sure. A good way to find them is this. You're gonna lay on your side again, And again, I'm going to bend this knee, but this time I'm not hinged forward like this. So I'm gonna be a little bit more in line with my torso, not 100% because then I'm here and I'm arching my back and we don't wanna do that. So my knees are forward slightly, but I'm not in that 90-degree angle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up to about a 90-degree with the top leg. From here, what I'm gonna do is I'm really gonna think about it and I'm gonna turn that out, think about it, and then turn it back in. And I can actually even feel my glute firing, okay? If again, you're like, ooh, I really not really feeling it, you can extend that leg forward. Again, I'm in this parallel position and I'm gonna turn it out as I go up. And then that can really show you where you're at as well too. Again, if you're still not sure, another good way is if you go onto your hands and knees here, again, engage that core. So we never want to be like arching into our back like this. We want to be nice and pulled up. My shoulders are down and I have a long neck. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in this parallel position and I'm going to squeeze out to the side. That can really isolate the glute and you can feel it working, okay? And then again, if you're like, oh, I still don't know if I can feel it or not, you can go out to this more straight position. Again, but don't arch into your back like this. You want to pull up really tall and then you're going to squeeze here, okay? So turned in, bring it in. So those are two ways that you can try to find your turnout if you're still a little bit like, I'm not really quite sure where it's at. Let's go on to our third exercise. So this third exercise is going to be laying down on my back. I'm going to lay down. I have the band underneath my knees, okay? And I'm going to lay back and I'm going to, again, make sure that you're not arching off. So notice how I'm arching off the floor. This is not a good position for your spine. You're going to want to make sure that you're in towards the floor. So what happens is if I don't engage my core, my lower back is off of the floor. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to engage. Now my lower back is touching the floor, and this is a good safe place for my spine to be. Now I'm going to bring my legs about a foot apart. You do not have to do that. You can start with them in the middle also because that's a very good glute exercise as well. But this is how I'm going to show this one. So what happens is I'm going to think about peeling my pelvis up off the floor. So if I show sideways here, I'm not just going push like that. That can be really harsh on your lower back. So what I'm doing is I'm going to engage my core so I feel that lower back touching against the floor now. Now what I'm thinking is I'm going to peel forward and upward with my hips. So I'm starting with my tailbone. It's kind of like a rolling and a concave. So notice how I tucked under. So I'm squeezing my glutes, my stomach is in, core activated, and I'm slowly going through each vertebrae as I push. Now, you notice I'm in this very straight line. I don't want to be up like this. This is not a good position. That actually feels terrible. So I'm going to be in this more straight position. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to isolate. I'm squeezing my glutes right now. Okay, so here we are. And then I'm going to bring them out to the side. Let me turn a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Again, I'm up here, very long line, and I'm going to use my glutes, squeeze out to the side, and then bring it in. Squeezing out to the side, and then bringing in. And then when I want to come down, I need to roll through my back again. So the middle spine, and then the lower spine, and then my pelvis, okay? So we never want to just drop to the floor because that's painful and it's really bad for your back. So again, you want to probably do about 10 of those as well. And again, if you want to do it with this band, it is exactly the same thing. You're just going to go ahead and tie this little guy around your legs. Again, you can, it depends on how much resistance you would like to have, right? And it is exactly the same thing. Rolling back here. Remember, engage and then peeling the pelvis up off the floor. Long position with me here. And then again, I'm squeezing open and close, okay? So again, it's not about like, I mean, it's nice to be able to have a big range of motion. I'm not showing it with this band because it's quite strong, a lot of tension. But if you have a lighter band, you will notice that you'll be able to squeeze open more. But notice how I kind of dropped. Now, we don't want to be doing that because that's a lot on the lower spine. So again, it's quality over quantity. So as I'm squeezing, I want to make sure I'm maintaining this nice bridge position, okay? Again, if you want to bring your feet closer, it's the same thing. Again, don't let your pelvis drop. Okay, so that is like the best 3 exercises for your turnout. And I hope that it was very helpful, and I hope that you go ahead and continue with them. You will probably find that you're sore in the beginning. That is excellent. And then if you realize halfway through the next, week, 2 weeks, and you're like, I'm really not feeling it anymore, that is your indication to go ahead and go up a band resistance. Yeah, and so you want to just really think about the rotating of your glutes. Again, it's quality over quantity, okay? I wanted to mention that a lot of times, not only do we want to think about our glutes for turnout, but also like we're thinking about the articulation of our feet. Now, again, like I said, there's some turnout in the knees a little bit and a little bit in the ankles, and we need to talk about the ankles. So I will make another video about our ankles and how important it is for having strong turnout muscles to hold our turned out positions in ballet. We don't want to force things. That's when we start having problems with our ankles and our knees. And if you're a young dancer training, or even if you're an older dancer, it doesn't matter if you're starting off or whatever. If you're rolling in your ankles though, you're gonna find a host of problems become more prevalent, okay? So we'll talk about that next time. I'll show you some feet exercises for good articulation of those toes, which is going to not only help with the lovely line of your leg, but as you increase the strength of your turnout, it's really going to help present that foot, which is something that we love to show in ballet because ballet is crazy. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.